Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of Business Insider. I'm your host for tonight, Muhammad Abdurrahim, and tonight we'll be talking about empowering women and youth here in Egypt, a path to economic development and prosperity. And with us here in the studio is Senator Noha Sherif, member of the Egyptian Senate. Dr. Noha is a member of the was a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the period between 2020 and 2021, and also a current member of the Financial, Economic and Investments Committee in the Senate. She was appointed by His Excellency the President as a member of the Egyptian Senate in October of 2020, and of course the presidential decree for the first legislative term 2020-2025. A very good evening to you, Dr. Noha. Pleasure having you with us on Nile TV International.
Thank you, and the pleasure is mine. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Noha. Dear viewers, please allow us, as we always do in this program, first to watch a report about our main topic for tonight, empowering women and youth here in Egypt, a path to economic prosperity, with Senator Dr. Noha Sherif. Please watch the report. We'll be back to start our discussion.
Minister of Agriculture and Land Reclamation Ala Farouk has recently announced that the Ministry of Agriculture is open to receiving practical implementable ideas from young graduates and students of agricultural colleges. This initiative aims to support youth-driven agricultural projects in line with the state's commitment to promoting youth involvement in Egypt's economic development. Farouk made these remarks during an open meeting which brought together young graduates and agricultural college students. This session titled "Your Path is Green" focused on encouraging small agricultural projects. The Minister of Agriculture urged young people to take advantage of the opportunities and initiatives provided by the government, including funding, training and technical support for agricultural projects. Minister Farouk highlighted the importance of supporting youth in the agriculture sector as a key driver of sustainable development in Egypt. He emphasized that the government recognizes the critical role that youth plays in the agricultural future of the country. The minister also confirmed that the Agricultural Research Center is ready to provide technical support, guidance and consultations to help young entrepreneurs implement their projects. He stressed that investing in the creativity and energy of youth in agriculture is vital for Egypt's future and economic growth, particularly as the agricultural sector remains one of the country's most important economic pillars. Minister Farouk outlined the government's ongoing efforts to empower youth, including providing funding for small and medium-sized enterprises through initiatives from the Central Bank of Egypt and national banks, especially the ABE. The Agricultural Bank of Egypt offers financing programs for young people wishing to establish small agricultural projects. Additionally, intensive training programs in modern agriculture, animal production and related fields are available through institutions like the Agricultural Research Center, Desert Research Center and the faculties of agriculture and veterinary medicine at Egyptian universities. Farouk also discussed ongoing collaborations between government agencies and the private sector to develop digital platforms that will facilitate the marketing of agricultural products. These platforms will help young producers reach local and global markets, providing services to simplify the marketing of their agricultural products.
Thank you, dear viewers, for staying with us. Many thanks to Abir Hussein and Rasha Abdel Hamid for this report. We're back here with Senator Noha Sherif, talking about empowering women and youth here in Egypt, a path to economic prosperity. And by the way, Dr. Noha is a graduate of the Executive Presidential Leadership Program at the National Trading Academy here in Egypt. She's also she works at the Ministry of Investment. And in 2024, just a few months ago, she admitted a senior fellow of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. That's a national university in Singapore that is ranked 8th in the world, first in Asia and 8th in the world, and she became the 3rd Egyptian to get a certificate from that renowned university. Now, Dr. Noha, when we talk about empowering women and youth here in Egypt, we've seen this trend really a lot in the past 10 years since His Excellency took over the presidency. Talk to us about your personal experience in the empowerment of youth and women.
First of all, before going to my personal experience, I want to wish you and all the Egyptians a happy new year for 2025, and hope the coming year will be more better and more prosperous for our country in Egypt.
Amen.
For the youth empowering for youth and women in Egypt, it takes maybe the last 10 years a great shift in advanced path, and it's a very long path the country has went through with. Many initiatives has targeted the youth and women in particular, thanks to His Excellency the President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, after the amendments of the constitutions that give us a more representative in many areas to be leaders and take leading positions in many aspects and many fields in the country. Now the youth and the women taking part in the government, deputy ministers, and also governors, assistant to governors, and now the woman is a judge also. And concentrating to the youth file in Egypt, it takes since 2015, one of the main outcomes of the youth conferences by His Excellency, he designated the government has issued the National Training Academy that works a lot towards to youth for capacity building. Before being any youth to be appointed or selected in any position, it should went through particular programs for capacity building to enable them to work in the government in general, in all the fields, and to prepare a good candidate and a good cadre to be efficient and to work closely with the government in many aspects. And also because we in Egypt actually not like many other countries suffering or facing the aging population, but we are a youth population in Egypt. More than 70% of our population is youth. So thanks to the government and to the leading and to His Excellency that has a long-term strategy and view, because maybe when after 10 or 20 years from now, we find that all the youth will be taking charge in the country, and we have a gap between the seniors and experts and the youth. So unless we take care of this huge population of the youth, we would face a problem after 20 years. So all the initiatives, all the work has been done in order to ensure that the youth that will be taking charge of the country afterwards will be a good cadre that can take charge of this. And also in 2019, His Excellency designated 2019 a year of for the youth especially. And also the government has issued created the coordination committee for parties of the youth parties and politicians in order to enhance the political life for those cadres, and they play a good role in the parliament as well. In one of His Excellency missions in France, he has a good cooperation with the French government in a protocol with in many terms and in many areas, but specifically for the capacity building of the youth, there was a memorandum of understanding, MOU, has been signed between the National Training Academy in Egypt and its counterpart in France is the ENA. ENA is the École Nationale Administrative, and it's also considering to act as preparing and capacity building for the youth, to prepare them for, to graduate them and select them in positions and to be leaders in many fields. One of the graduates of the ENA is Emmanuel Macron and Jacques Chirac. Yeah. So this concept of the school and the academy for preparing a good cadre to be efficient and work either in the government or the legislative or the executive, whatever the government, whatever the country, whatever the role, the youth could be capable to do his work.
Very good. That's as far as political empowerment is concerned. What about economic empowerment for the youth and social empowerment for the youth? What can you tell us about that? And women as well,
yes.
Of course.
Actually, as a woman and youth in both, we have done a great work because those considered to be the minorities in the country. So Egypt has been defending those profiles a lot. For the youth, there is a lot of initiatives that took part in the government the last 10 years, especially those who targeted the SMEs and the entrepreneurship. One of the good figure we can point out that 33% of the entrepreneurship in the Middle East and in the Gulf is Egyptian entrepreneurships. We have a good inventory and a good
human capital.
And we hope that all of them can keep in Egypt and not going abroad or going in any other country, and we make the best use of our entrepreneurship. I think that some of ministers and the government has done a good work, but still a lot to be done, especially for the small and medium enterprises. There's a lot of incubators for the startups. There's a great role for them, for the startups, to not only to make the assistance for them. I know that there is a very big struggle for them to to raise funds and to seek source of finances. It's really a great problem for them, but not only the financial problem. They can face technical assistance. They need technical assistance. They need business development. They need to be to help them in order to point out how they could start their projects, how could they make their visibility study or something. So this technical assistance is important, so important as much as the financial funds for them. And accordingly, as we enhance and foster these small and medium enterprises, it will affect the investment in general atmosphere at all.
Now, Dr. Noha, staying with the youth, a lot has been spent in establishing new universities, private universities, public universities, technical universities. A lot has also been invested in youth centers in the sports field for the youth, for the health of the youth, for the lifestyle of the youth, for the way youth work. So again, I want to stay with that specific point. What has the government and the private sector and the non-governmental organizations done to help the youth in the educational field, in the sports field, in the socio-economic field?
Actually, as we always say, that the triangle of the development is co-shared between the government and the private sector and also NGOs. So many initiatives have been done from the governments, but all of them was separately. Some of them focused for only the education, some of them focused on the health, and some presidential initiatives have been done through. At the end, we have come with very good initiatives called Bidaya. These initiatives of Bidaya, this program, have gathered all these initiatives in one initiative that taking care of the human capital of Egypt in all aspects and in all fields and in all ages. It takes the human from the very early years of his life till the end of his life, how to help the human in every aspect, to educate him to be well educated, well raised in a healthy atmosphere, and also taking care of the other fields like the sports. So we can see the cooperation between all the ministers in the government, Ministry of Sport, Ministry of all the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health. The first time they are all cooperating in one presidential initiatives like Bidaya. So this one has a really great effect on the human capital of Egypt in general.
Right. And Dr. Noha, back to the to women empowerment. Now, again, the health file, the legal or legislative file when it comes to women's rights, empowering women in getting their fair representation in the job market, not only in Parliament or in the Senate, or you mentioned that a woman is now a judge. She's not only a judge, she's an ambassador, she's a governor, she's a minister, she's everything. I mean, after all, it's half the society, and probably most of the time the more influential half, by the way. But so what can you tell us about women empowerment over the past 10 years in Egypt?
Back to the constitutional amendments that I have mentioned in my first call, that regardless of the percentage of the representation, the quality of the woman, some people thought that the woman is not that qualitative or that qualified enough to take charge of any position. Not only the ratio or the percentage of the representation. Yes, thanks to this increasing ratio, increasing percentage that we have, because now you can see we have reached like more than 24% in the parliament, but still in the unemployment rate for the woman still lacking behind rather than the men in the government and also in the private sector, so that some laws have come to increase this representation of the women in the boards. And we have seen recently some of the decisions issued by the Financial Regulatory Authority to increase the representation of the women in the companies, in the board of directors of any company to be established. This one also the right, and the equality of the wages actually is one of the main important that has been taking care of. The government has taken care of this one. Not only we don't talk only the number. So now we have like 1, 2, 3, no. But
it's the quality, not only the quantity.
Of the representation of the woman, and back to the education and back to the preparation of this, regardless woman or men, but without the good preparation of those women, they will not act in a good way in their positions, and not only the academic background. I'm actually talking about the practices in the ground, the experience in the world, the experience maybe abroad, and not only in Egypt. As for me, I'm representing the youth and the women in the Senate, but it's not all of a sudden. I've been through a great long program before. I've studied in Ireland, I've studied in Italy, I've studied in Singapore, and that's all doesn't have any burden or any financial burden of the government. It's all with the cooperation and scholarships and senior fellowships from outside. And you have been through this education.
And you're an independent, right?
Yes.
You're not affiliated to any political party?
No, I'm independent and not affiliated, but now I'm a member in the coordination committee of parties, youth, and politicians.
Yeah, tell us what do you do in the committee? What is it exactly that you do in the committee?
Actually, the committee considered to be One of the good experiences for the youth in the political life in Egypt, we have seen since the revolution from 2011 and 2013, the role of the youth in the ground has a great effect on the government. So the country and the government has a long-term view in taking those youth and to let them share in the policy decision-making process, and to let them a part of the decision-making process, to empower them in any, but not all of the youth, but only the efficient and the qualified youth that can make the change in the country and make a good change in the country. Not only any activist or something, no, but only the qualified CAD. And the main strength of this coordination committee, that you have a variety of ideology inside this, because there is a representation from all parties. So you have the liberal, you have the religions, you have the independent that hasn't any party, socialism, whatever the ideology. So regardless of the ideology and the difference in the ideology, but they are all gathered in, and they having they have common goal, and they are standing on the same ground, that they want the good for the country, regardless of their views and their ideology inside the party.
Right, Dr. Noha. Now, you've participated in the national dialogue?
Yes, I
Okay. Tell us also about the national dialogue. What is it that you hear from youth and women? What do they complain about? I'm sure there are challenges. Yes, there is empowerment for youth and women. But yes, surely some obstacles remain, some challenges remain. They have complaints, they have dreams, ambitions. So what is it that they complain about mostly, the youth and women? And what is it that you do at the Senate to try and help overcome these challenges?
Actually, I've been participating in the national dialogue in many committees. One of them is the Committee of the Investment, and the other one of the youth. And we have heard more from the youth from different parties and different views in the society. Actually, they have the common and concerns regarding some laws issued, and they have proposing some amendments in some laws, and we in the Senate or in the Parliament have the right to propose these amendments and to impose these amendments in any law that
you're the legislative power, after
we have
all.
the legislative power, and also the Senate considered to be the think tank of the country, and when we discussed any law or any amendments of the law, and we pass it to the Parliament,
yes.
to issue this. And one of the main challenges that we have heard, and the government can see this, is the unemployment rate. And the government works closely with the private sector, but we need some laws to organize this relationship from the government and the private sector that has a direct and also indirect effect in the youth and in unemployment rate. Also the 5% of the disabilities
the
youth,
people with special abilities, yes.
Disabilities. We want to ensure,
increase it?
Yeah, we not only increase, but even the 5% that was mentioned by the law, we want to make sure that it was already in the ground, is happening on the ground, because we have a great number of disabilities also as well, and also ensuring that the community and the atmosphere for the women in their works are defending them, and either in wages, harassment, but in a healthy ambience or a healthy atmosphere for them.
Dr. Noha, your master's thesis was entitled Investigation of Corporate Governance in Emerging Markets, Developing a Framework Model for the Egyptian Case. that was more than 10 years ago. I don't know, what's your PhD thesis?
The thesis was I'm studying in Cairo University, Faculty of Economics and Political Science, in Euromed Studies program. This Euromed program is focused for the studies in the Middle East and Europe. And the thesis will be in the Eastern Mediterranean Gas Forum. Yeah, but still working on this.
Very interesting.
Because in my work, I used to work in General Authority for Investment and Free Zones, the International Cooperation Department. My department was working closely with the international organizations, and I've been working with the EU, the European Union, in some project that has funds towards Egypt to be implemented towards some projects in Egypt. And I remember 2012-2015, one of the projects that we have been working with, considered to be one of the best projects from the European Union to Egypt. It was the first project, and we have a great fund from the EU in implementing this project. And not only the issue of the fund, but how you use the fund to make the best use of the money you have received, not only to make conferences or visiting experts or something, no, but how to make the room for an efficient expenses of this fund on your country, so that it can affect the development in one way or another in your country.
Yes, and finally, because we're running out of time, you know, I can't let you go without asking you about the Egyptian economy. I mean, after all, you're an economist. I mean, you were a graduate of the Faculty of Economy in Political Science, Faculty of Political Science, Cairo University, and you're a member of the Financial, Economic and Investment Committee of the Senate. So how do you see the current status of the Egyptian economy? How do you see the efforts to draw more foreign direct investments? The key issues that we all care about: controlling inflation, the exchange rate of the Egyptian pounds, you know, all the important issues. How do you see things moving forward?
Actually, since the program we started 2016 of the reform program that Egypt has been through, we have been through different challenges and different problems, not only inside Egypt, but also the region.
Corona, Russia, Ukraine, Gaza.
Yes, so the geopolitics around us has badly affected our economy. And regardless that we are doing a great job in some reforms and some amendments, but still we have
a lot of challenges
to do. The problem may be not the investment of attracting the investment or the foreign direct investment because of the geopolitics problem, but the problem is the stagflation around the world, not only in our region, but the rates of the investments and rate of the flows, the investment flows around the world is going is declining.
So you see more challenges forward.
Yes,
even more challenges.
But
are we out of the woods? Are we out of the woods?
No, not out of the woods, but politically, economically, socially, geographically, all our cross borders is very challenging problems. So we want
the reason I asked, are we out of the woods, because 2024 was a difficult economic year.
Yes.
How do you see 2025?
Regarding the exchange rate, I don't see that it will make a great booming or bad effect like the last year. Maybe we can move from in a range, but not that different. But in general,
and it's a free market now. We don't have any black market anymore.
Never. And actually, I can expect that we can move freely within like 5 or 10% up and down freely, but not that great difference.
And that means that you expect inflation to come down?
Hopefully, yes. All the government and all the initiatives now and all the work is done to lower the inflation. But definitely we will not see that.
So interest rates will also go down, probably.
I don't know.
Rates.
Actually, no one can tell you what's going tomorrow, because we are struggling nowadays. In every day we have a new news of challenges. But the most important is the cooperation between the monetary policy and the fiscal policy. We can't face like before, every one of them is working separately, is working alone. We should have a cooperation between those policies, and also the government should exert much effort next year than the last year, because the people have suffering a lot, and thanks to the Egyptian people, because they have a lot of burdens, a lot of financial burdens, a lot of social problems.
And we will see a bigger role for the private sector, you expect?
Yes, definitely.
A bigger role?
Yes, definitely. Okay. The private sector will take a great role for the next area.
Okay, and hopefully 2025 will be a happy year for all Egyptians. Thank you very much, Dr. Noha Sherif, a member of the Egyptian Senate, for being with us here on Nile TV International. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, dear viewers, for watching Business Insider. Please stay with Nile TV.